All right, listen, by now, you have learned quite a bit in this course. Before we go over all of the benchmarks and everything that you should have gathered at this point, I want to remind you of our teaching on business models because I know when some of you went through it, you probably glazed through it. And here's why: because it didn't seem that significant. If you're already operating and you're already successful, why is a business model important? Well, give you a short story. When I was younger, um, my mentor came in just to do a feasibility roundup of everything. He wanted to just check out everything and make sure that we were operating at optimal, I guess, progression. So he had been my mentor for 12 years. He came in and he took a look. Go back. I'm going to go back a little bit. You guys, a lot of you know this story, but we keep adding people to the course. So I tell this story. So let me tell it real quick. My husband and I had formed a corporation and we were working diligently, and we had partners that partnered with us. Some lived in Atlanta, some living in other areas. We were in Georgia, Columbus, Georgia. And so the partnership was going very well. I thought it was going excellent. I was young at the time, thought we had it all together. And we were doing well, very cash heavy in the type of business that we were in. And so he came over and he saw the business. He saw we had been doing well. He wanted to combine our companies along with another company that was in Buena Vista, Georgia. So he did that. He purchased our company, um, and paid our price, paid off the debt that we had there that was involved with closing out everything, bought out the other partners, and we became a part of a larger corporation along with him and other corporations. We came together to form a conglomerate. After I'd spent 12 years there with him mentoring me and my opportunity to go from one position in the corporation to the next. So I finally ended up being the president of the corporation. He was a CEO. We had 28 different employees that were working there for us. It was an awesome, wonderful opportunity. I enjoyed every moment of it. I learned quite a bit of information that's priceless that I am still using today. And so when we moved from there, we were on our own. He wanted to just come by and visit. Did a little feasibility study just to make sure that we were in a position that was going to be optimal. Well, it turns out that the business model that we was using was not the most opportunistic for the type of corporation that we had. Title company is what we were doing. Basically, more heavy, mostly heavy on the abstracting side, which is really cash heavy. Um, and so, in doing that, he helped us to understand we were operating with the hierarchical model, which back then was standard. But there were some new models that were becoming available. And because things were shifting, things were changing into a total, it's because software was just being introduced. Yeah. So everything was about to go into a different, when software started being introduced, it was all the gloves were off and everything just took off. Everybody's company just took off. So he was telling me for that time frame, we were operating under a model that would probably render our company obsolete. And he was right. We changed the way that we operated. And by doing that, we increased our profit margin extremely because the way that we were operating was staff heavy. And when we got rid of some of the staff and put some of them on the ground, boots on the ground, as more of hands-on account executives, it increased the amount of our viability and our bottom line revenue. Oh my goodness, by a huge percent. Our profit margin shot up through the roof. And so I am, and we we still operate under that model, I might add, the one that he introduced us to. And so the reason why I'm revisiting business models right now is because I just want to make sure that you guys are operating in a way that you're going to optimize, not just for now, but everything is changing now. Everything is changing. You guys are going to hopefully be using modern technology to grow and increase, multiply your companies. So, I've already talked to you about the limited franchise units. You want to do that. Most of you have companies. I mean, we've got people that got the nonprofit organizations. We've got individuals that have a strategic planning, event planning. We've got individuals that have their own Uber organization. It's not called Uber, but it's a similar company to Uber, and they're doing well. One company is a emergency vehicle, a company, a corporate owner. We've got a variation of corporations that operate here, title companies, abstracting companies, and so notary closings. So I want to make sure that you're all maximizing in what it is that you're doing. You can use this limited franchise unit model. So I want to talk to you about that individually. If you're interested in the limited franchise unit models, you want to do that because you can take your company to another level. Well, here, give you an example of this, and then we're going to get to the model that I think is ideal for some of you. So, years ago in the 1990s, we started what's called a limited franchise unit. And so, what that means is we sell franchise units, but we do it on a limited basis, meaning that when we sell a franchise unit, the individual can keep their corporate name. They can use our corporate name and our resources, or they can use our resources and not necessarily have to carry our corporate name. It includes training. We make sure that we train them, we set them up, with their own clients. We make sure that they've got all of their accounts set up like they're supposed to be set up, federal, state, bank accounts, accounting software, everything that they need, budgeting, financial statements, everything that they need to put them in an optimal position. We also, in some cases, they need to apply for some type of credit line to make sure that they're going to be able to run smoothly and pay their employees. And sometimes they don't have the history that they need. And so they can use some of our net worth and such because they're a part of our franchise. Now, they may choose to use their own name, own company name. They may not decide to operate under our company name, but they are a part of our affiliation in that they are one of our affiliate companies. They are one of our franchise units. It's called limited franchise unit because they use their own company name. Yes, they use their own company, their own corporate name. They incorporate under their own name. That makes it a limited franchise. The limitation is that they're operating under their own company name. So our company name is not liable to anything, any of their business practices. However, because they're starting out, they'll need to have support. They'll need to have training. They'll need to have network capabilities. They'll need to have clientele. Some of the insurances won't insure them because they don't have the years of experience. That's when they lean on our years of experience. They lean on some of the companies that we've been insured by. They lean on our references as well. Yeah. See, all of this stuff helps them to get established. So it's called a limited franchise unit. They pay for the training that we provide. They pay for the limited franchise unit. Over a period of time, they pay a smaller amount, and as time goes on, the amount becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until they no longer need to pay a fee, and yet they still have the benefit of the franchise unit network. And it's called limited franchise unit. If you're interested in that for your organization, we have a whole teaching on that. We've got the videos, we've got the documentation, we've got the models, we've got all of that set up, and we teach you how to franchise your company. Now, in the state of Alabama, there's certain documentation that you don't need to franchise your unit, which makes it a whole lot simpler for you. There's still documentation that's necessary, but there are a lot of things that are not necessary, and yet you still are organized on the all of the guidelines that are required for you to franchise. It's an easy thing to do, and you can begin to sell those limited franchise units. There are so many people that would like to do what it is that you're. There's a lot of people that would like to own a Bell's bonding company. They're not going to be your competition. See, the thing that what you're doing is you're expanding yourself. You're expanding your net work, which will increase your net worth. They're going to pay you to help them get established. They're going to be working with you for years, and they will always be a part of your network. They'll never be able to forget that you started them in the strategic planning organization. You started them in the event planning and designs. Yeah, you started them in that transportation company, and got them in that transportation business. You did that. You got them started in the abstracting or the title industry. You started them in the cleaning services. We've got some companies that they own a cleaning service, but it's not just cleaning. It's not just janitorial service. They do things like remodeling. They do things like servicing for several different vacation rentals. And they've got people that would love to do what it is. They've got their own brand of cleaning called Clearance Clean, their own brand of cleaning solution. But if you organize that in a package, there are so many individuals that would love to start their own branding for that Clearance Clean or for a cleaning service. You don't have to do it in your own state. Go to smaller areas where they don't have those advantages, and you can help them. Yeah, you don't have to physically be in the area where they are. It's a whole packet that you can now present to them in your limited franchise units. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. If you want to see little mini-me's of you all over the world and have them paying you for the opportunity for you to share with them a teaching of how they can establish themselves under your company's leadership. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be beneficial for you. It'll be beneficial for them. It'll be beneficial for the area. It's win-win for everybody involved. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me so that I can show you how you can get all of that structured. That is a service that we offer. It's something that we've been doing for years. We started people years ago in the abstracting business, and they're still in the abstracting business. Hundreds of individuals that I can name, and some of them you're familiar with, them. Even some of you that are from Lower Alabama, they come from your hometown. Yeah. Some of you from Georgia, they come from your hometown. Yeah. Some of you from Delaware, Rhode Island, your hometown. And we were beneficial in helping them to get started in this business. All right. So when you look at your organizational models, and I'm going to be in chapter 2. In chapter 2, when we talk about the different models, and we already know that the hierarchical model is the one that's it's almost outdated. I say that because there are some companies that still, Warren Buffett's company still operates under that particular model. It's an excellent model, but it's heavy on employees and officers. And the name of the game these days is to streamline. We're almost getting to the point where we have very few human employees and more mechanical and artificial intelligence units that we're using. Okay, so that's why that model is going to be obsolete at some point, because it's employee heavy and officer heavy. All right, I know I use that term heavy a lot. So when it comes to structuring a business, the different types of organizational models can be vital. Remember, I told you that, I almost said his name. My prior mentor came in, God rest his soul, may he rest in peace, came in and he looked at what we were doing and he showed us a better model, which increased our profit margin almost instantaneously. I'm not kidding. So when we look at some of the principles that are in our book, Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Business Owners, if you look at that curriculum, then what you'll see is that for some businesses, the hybrid model will be an ideal model for this day and age. And if you don't have this book, get it. Yeah. Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Business Owners. You want to get it. If you don't have it, get it. If you do have it, get it for your children, those that you're going to be training, that you're going to be setting them up into their own companies. You don't want to wait. If you've already waited until they're in high school, you're running behind the mark. Some people start in their business models and in their businesses years before that. So you want to go ahead and get this book for them, walk them through it as they see you doing your thing, get them more involved in the orchestration and the operations of your company, not just doing tasks for you, but more so on the organizational side of the company as well. So they understand the organization. A lot of people know how to do certain trades that their parents have taught them to do. What they don't understand is the organizational part. You want to understand that now. They need to understand that when they're younger, so they can set up several of them, set up the models, and then understand what to do with the money when it comes in. I talked about that on the previous teaching about how you want to set up a holding company. I walk you through exactly how you needed to do it. Also how you wanted to set up the trust company, how those two can work in tandem interactively, and why you want to do it. I talked about municipal bonds and what you can do with a lot of the monies that you're bringing in, because a lot of y'all are bringing in quite a bit of money, but the issue is you're not knowing what to do with the money. So it's just sitting in the account. And what you need to do is start putting it to work for you. So you're multiplying it right away. And then you can start putting it into tangible items of value. Okay. All right. So um, we're going to use two of the companies. We're going to use the strategic planning or event planning company and the Bills bonding company. So if we look at the Bills bonding company, if you look at because of the type of industry that it is, the hybrid model is going to be the best structure. Okay, now we're using the structures that are listed in chapter 2 in this book. Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Business Owners. Okay, if you need the ISBN number, let me know and I'll get that for you. I believe you can purchase it on several platforms, specifically Amazon.com. So let's break open why the hybrid model is going to be the best structure for something like a Bills bonding company or even an event planning company. First, I'm going to talk about the Bills bonding company and also the transportation company. So for the guy that we have that's in our organization that's running a company that's similar to Uber, this is going to be a best for you as well. Y'all, incidentally, I want to set up and schedule a corporate boot camp. Now, during the corporate boot camp, all of you guys would need to register. It would be a fee that you need to pay. But let me tell you why you're paying the fee. We're going to get some of these guys that have gone on to do excellent work. I mean, they have made far beyond the multiple millions that we've made. They've made some real money. Okay. And they still maintain a net worth of several millions of dollars. Okay. So I'm going to get some of them to come in and to talk with us. Yeah, they're going to come in and talk. They're going to be sponsors and they're going to come in and talk with us. And you guys are going to get a chance to network with each other because among you, y'all have some serious networking abilities. Yeah, you got your own clique. You know how different cities have their own corporate cliques. And if you're not inside of it, they're not sending you anything and they're not whatever. Which has never mattered to me because I've always learned how to make it work in or out of the major cliques. Well, you guys have your own clique because there are so many of you that are a part of this network that when you come together, you're gonna be surprised at how you all can benefit one another. Yeah. So we're going to do a corporate boot camp and all of you guys are going to come. And then some of the people who are signing up and who want to sign up, who want to know what all the hoopla is about, and they want to get involved and they bought the book and they need some more guidance. They're going to come as well. And there are also going to be some people who are newly established in their corporations. And we're going to do that at the boot camp. So we'll have somebody ringing the bell every time somebody's corporate documentation gets recorded. We're going to do those things. We'll have dinner, and we'll just have time to network and probably do an activity together, something together that will help us bond together as a strong network. Because y'all have got something here. You don't really know what you have because you don't know how many of you are involved, but you got something here. So I wanted to say that to you also for the future. All right. So when you're dealing with a hybrid, that's a blend. That's a blended type of structure. Remember, we talked about when you use a blend, there's a certain amount of legal protection that's involved, and you've got the financial transparency that's there. So you already have the legal formation that's necessary. So if you've got a C corporation, even if you're a S corporation, you're still a C corporation because your foundation is a C corporation, and you could easily continue to operate as a C corporation by simply just filing the 1120 and not filing the 2553. Yeah. So what you're doing is you're shielding your personal assets, and at the same time, you're enabling flexible cash flow that you'll be able to manage through your company. It encourages like layered financial systems that we've talked about, like an escrow account. Yeah, and the reason why you want that is because you can create third-party surety partnerships like the holding and the trust that we talked about before. We can go into we went into details, but we can actually walk through setting you up in a holding company and a trust company with all the documentation and the language, and then you can get it notarized and we can get it recorded, and bam, you're set. You can add that information to your minutes and it's done. Then you can just start operating that way when it comes to your accounts. Everything can flow through the holding company, and then we can go from there. Any life insurance or other insurance payouts that you're going to have, the beneficiary would be the trust, and all of those things will be paid out through the trust. Is that making sense? Okay. All right. But we went into detail in that. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure you watch it because we went into details as to how you can set them up. So all of this will work in tandem or in correlation or in synergy with the hybrid model that you can read about in chapter 2. Now, chapter 2, I think that's in section 7. It's borrowing from several of the different models to create your organization's infrastructure. So what you're doing is you're implementing standardized contracts in your SOPs, um, some type of digital payment tracking system, which I'm sure all of you already have. The audit ready bookkeeping. Yeah. Now remember, we talked about the systems that you wanted to use. And the reason why I suggested that annual business budget that's available in Google Sheets, and it's also available in the Word package under the Excel, because it's going to calculate everything for you. As you input the information, it will self-calculate, but it also will merge to prepare your financial statements. So I know you're already doing your profit and loss statements. You're already doing your own tax returns and doing your own profit and loss statement, and that's good. You should always do that. You're not going to always have time to prepare them yourself, but if you have all of the information, you know what should be going on. You know how to, remember I taught you guys how to go back and check to make sure all of your stuff has been filed. And I taught you how to, and all of this is in the book, but it's also in the curriculum that I'm teaching you, so that because your profit and loss statement is great, but it is no financial statement. That's not a financial statement. And so when you're setting up your goal portfolio, remember we talked about the goal portfolio. All right. So this hybrid model works perfectly with your gold portfolio, because the gold portfolio is what you use if you're out on the golf course. You're there out on the golf course, and the head of some major organization, multi-billion dollar organization is there. You're already going to stand out, so they're going to want to come over and talk to you because they want to know who you are. Yeah. Yeah. hmm And so you can begin to network. Well, your gold portfolio is something that you have readily available on your digital software, and you can just send it to them. They may say, well, tell me something about your company. And you can say, listen, give me your email. I'll just go ahead and send you. I've got a gold portfolio right here. Remember the documents we talked about that should be in there, your capability statement, right? And inside of that capability statement is a brief description of your company's makeup and model, what you do, and all that's a one pager, remember. And then your financial statement by way of your balance sheet and your income statement you want to have, and your cash flow You want to have those things in your documentation and everything else that we talked about in that Go portfolio. If we need to go over it again, we can, but we discussed those documents that you needed to have in that portfolio. And I think it's somewhere around chapter 10, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere around chapter 10, because we were talking about the benefits of the the small business development centers that are in the various states. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's going to be in chapter 10, how you want to prepare your, I called it a gold portfolio, because you want to have everything in there. It's a brief little package, and it says a lot of, it's not a whole stack of papers, but it says a whole lot about who you are. Just the capability statement itself carries a lot of weight in the information that you share. And it's brief, but it's a little package that you set up, and it speaks for you. And they're accustomed to reading it. The first thing they're going to pull out is that capability statement, because you not only use that when you're dealing with the government, but you use that when you're meeting with someone. They don't have a lot of time, but they're intrigued by you for a few seconds, and so you can grab their attention for a few seconds with a strong capability statement. That's the very first thing. And then after you put that in, whether it's that capability statement is going to have your core competencies, is going to have a few bullet points that describes your company, you know, is going to talk about what sets your company apart, some type of unique methodologies that you have or certification, any past performances that you have. You can just list any contact information or relevant contacts that for different projects that you might have been involved with. Or people that you may have been involved with. It's going to have your DUNS number there. If you are already registered with SAMS, to do business with the government, then it will have your CAGE code. Also, you want to put your NEICS code in there, any major contact, and any key contact information. That's in your capability statement. You want to have that available, but that's not the only thing that you put in your Go portfolio. We've talked about this before. So if you need the recording, let me know, because some common documents in that Go portfolio will be your W-9 statement, your company's purpose. Also, your taxpayer ID, your very brief business plan, something that's basically going to outline swiftly your goals and your marketing strategy to help you reach those goals at certain time intervals. Any financial projections that you may have, again, the financial statements, which would be your income statement, your balance sheet, and your cash flow sheet. If you have any tax returns, that's just your brief tax returns, not the whole thing, for maybe 1 to 3 years. That's if you have it, or at least 1 year. Yeah. Any that really kind of legitimizes your company, your articles of incorporation, not the whole thing, not with your minutes, not with your bylaws, just the brief part of your articles of incorporation. Okay. Any licensings or permits that you may have, you want to put that in there, because that ensures that you're in compliance. You see what I mean? And then if you are, again, approved with SAMS to do business with the government, you're going to have your unique entity identification number, your UEI number. Resumes of key individuals that are in leadership, and any loan documents that you may have. Like if you've gotten a loan or something, you'd be surprised how many huge investors want to invest in companies that have loans. It's not because they have credit or whatever, but when they see that people have capital needs or financial obligations, they want to help you in terms of paying those things off. So I just wanted to go over that Go portfolio with you one more time, because I know that there are people who come in at various intervals and they don't have that documentation. I know you. And I know that a lot of times when we talk about something, you don't always get a chance to go and finish everything. You start on it, but you don't get a chance to finish. So I want to make sure that you've got all of this that we've talked about in the past finished. And again, that was in chapter 10. If you want to go back and review it, for a lot of you, I know we've gone over it before, but I want to make sure that you go back and review it. So when we're talking about this hybrid model, you're going to put all of this together, interacting together with that Go portfolio. And you're like, well, why do I need to do this? I mean, some of you are making, upwards of $1 million and that's great. But remember, I told you that we were doing great business. And I'm not talking about mom and pop. I'm talking about we were doing great business. And Mr. Lowe comes in and he says, no, you need to do this, this, and this. And when he did it, our profit margin shot up. And I thought I thought we were at the pinnacle, which is silly, but I was young. And he showed us just by changing the business model. So I just want to say to you, that if you are in strategic planning, if you are like the young man that we have that has the company that rivals Uber, your company would do great as a hybrid model. Also, those who do event planning, down to the decorative displays that some of you do, you would do good with the hybrid model. Yeah. So when we're looking at the hybrid model, remember, you're going to borrow a variation of the different scalable platforms from the different models. Because what it's going to do is going to set you up for a service-based module. Yeah. So you'll be able to scale your company whenever the industry changes. Okay, so I want to let me go to, and I'm going to send you guys a video. I could not attach it to this because it would not download. Kept saying that I did not have enough space. The video clip it's very detailed in going over everything that we've talked about, but it does it in a Q&A form. So it's going to go through and ask you questions that you really should already know the answer to because we've gone over it in chapter 2. If you don't know the answers, though, it's going to come back with answers to help you understand. So it'll go over things like the hybrid model combining elements of various organizations so that it suits the specific needs of your company. So like if you have a company, again, that I keep talking about, I know I keep bringing up the company that rivals Uber, the transportation company, but let's just say you've got that company that you're working with. Okay. So what you do always, whenever you use the hybrid, you're going to always combine that fundamental, that functional model with any other core operations that you want to use. But you're going to always start with the functional model because it's going to always be your core operation in any hybrid. The functional model is what you're going to start with. Then you might want to add the network model because it's the most innovative these days. Because remember, everybody's streamlining. So this would allow your business to leverage its strengths so that in several areas of your company's structure, you'll be able to strengthen and fortify and build on both sides. Now, it can sometimes lead to, remember we talked about the complexity of management because you can bottleneck if one person's trying, you can streamline so much to one person's trying to do everything. Everything's trying to be squeezed into that one particular funnel, which is not good. So with the hybrid, you want to remember to start with the functional model, and then you may want to add the network model. So if you look at the network model, if you can remember, you got like the core company hub in the middle, in the center, and everything is sort of outsourced from that core. So you've got one major officer that's working with possibly a few assistants. There are not even any managers that is involved because that main officer is funneling everything to those supervisors, but the supervisors are also acting as labor because everything else, the actual lead work, is going to be networked out. You're going to network that work out. So you've got the core officer. That core officer probably has some assistants that are there, but they're also acting in a supervisory position in that. There are no employees involved. Everybody else is independent contractors, and they are networking that work. I'll give you an example. let's say you've got the network model and you're one of the core officers and you've got assistants. You're going to say to your assistant, hey, we need to set up something so that we can get our clothing line out. Okay. So that individual that you just outsourced, that you just gave those instructions to, would then reach out to some type of manufacturing company. Okay. That manufacturing company may be in a foreign area. Typically, it would be in Asia, unless things begin to change in that area. And so they would reach out and outsource. Now, the main officer has told the person that's assisting them what they need to do. That person is now going to network that task to a manufacturing company, all right, which will probably be in another country. All right. All right. Then there's another assistant that the main core officer says we need to have certain items distributed. That individual that the main core officer has given that instruction to, and all of these are considered, they wouldn't be team leads because there are no employees involved. It's just going to be those managers or management positions that handle that. So you got your core owner and then your management positions, and then the management positions are going to outsource that. So that individual would outsource to a distribution company. Yeah, somebody's outsourcing to or engaging or contracting a manufacturing company. Another one of the persons that are following the instructions of the core owner or officer is now going to handle distribution, and so on and so forth. That is the network model. Now you're going to combine that. That's more of what's happening today in terms of the functioning of companies. But then you're going to combine that with the functional model. And that functional model is scaled down so low, so small, until this operates the same way. You've got your CEO, and then from your CEO, you've got sales, you've got HR, you've got finance, and you've got marketing. But you've only got, it's not a whole team of people. These are going to be the people that are going to carry out all of that. You've got individuals that you either work for you or you're contracting them in this functional model. So there are different departments, and they specialize in particular functions or areas such as marketing, finance, operations, and each department operates independently under the supervision of whoever is handling that particular function. Typically, there are no employees, and even if they are employees, those employees are going to fall under the management of whoever is handling that department. So there's no in between, there's no middle management there. And so what this does is going to promote more efficiency. If you go to chapter 2, you can actually see the visual. You can see the visual of the model. I think it's somewhere around 46. Let me see. And you can see the visual of the model. So it will help you get more of an understanding of why this will fit your company. Yeah, so in the hard copy book, that functional model is going to be on page 47. And then the network model is on page 50. Okay. But whatever you're going to do, start with the functional model, and then you can combine it with, you don't have to combine it with the network because maybe you don't have anything to outsource. Maybe you're dealing directly with your client. And if you're dealing directly with your client, you don't need to outsource anything. So you don't need to combine the functional model with the hybrid. The functional model with the network, because the network doesn't work with you. It doesn't work for you because you're dealing directly with your client. Okay. So if you're dealing directly with your client, that's not necessary for you to do. But this functional model will work perfectly for you. Okay. You might want to deal with the flat model. You might want to combine the functional model and the flat model. Because with the flat model, it's the manager and then directly the employees. Manager, employees. Manager, employees. That's it. No middleman, no management other than that manager that's been hired to run things for you. But you really want to do that. So if you've got a company and you're doing everything, you need to come off of that. You come off that, and you need to start assigning employees to do all the running around that you're doing. You're going to have to assign some people to do all, so that you can think about how to grow your company, how to start setting up limited franchise units. And we can teach you how to set up limited franchise units so that you got little mini me's of you all over this world. And that's what you want, because while you're sleeping at night, I know you've got individual employees that while you're sleeping at night, they're working for you, but now you're about to have other companies that are set up all over the place. Yeah. And it's going to be, and they're not looking to you. You're going to train them so that they can operate independently and pay you a franchising fee for your experience, for your service, for your knowledge, for information that they may need. And we even have one that they share an E&O policy with us. We added them to our E&O policy, and we carry them on our E&O policy. Yeah. So they carry their own name, but we carry them on our E&O policy because they're even though they're a limited franchise unit, they're still a part of our company. They don't carry our name, but they're a part of our franchise units. So you might want to consider that. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is you want to come off of being so much of an officer that's doing so much of the work in your company. You've got to come off of that, or you'll never be able to think how to grow your company because you're so busy trying to do the work. And that means that you're really just an employee. You want to get more into being an officer of your company so that you can grow your company. And that's why we're talking about business models and which one will work basically for you. So if you would combine the functional model with another model that will work for you, something that's based on service industry, because most of you are service-based companies, and so that's going to work best for you. You may want to combine that functional model with a flat model, which is what I just talked about, where you've got the manager, and the manager deals directly with the employees, and there's no middleman. And there's no upper management other than the officers that are involved. But you don't need to be the manager. At some point, once you get those employees trained, you can make one of them the manager. And remember, I am heavy on using interns. When you're in a town with several colleges, you should have interns that you are training. Interns that you're training to move into management if they decide they want to do this for you, or move into being employees that you can depend on, key employees. But you should have interns that are working for you. You shouldn't be trying to carry all of the work that you are trying to carry. You cannot function in profitability in doing that. Okay, so before I close out, and I hope that that information has helped you. Just wanted to take another look at your business model just to make sure that you're operating at max. And also make sure that you're taking advantage of the opportunity there, just in case you want to set your company up for franchising. We can show you how to do the limited franchise units, how to set up that in your organization. I apologize that there's not going to be any notes on this because I tried to set my Zoom up, and apparently I have run out of data. So the recording kept cutting off. So there was no recording there. I probably should have stayed in there now that I think about it. Because at least we would have had the AI notes. And at this point, we don't even have the AI notes. It just dawned on me, girl, you should have stayed in there. You would have had your AI notes. Anyway, in this case, we're not going to have a summary because the AI is not on in this platform that I'm using to record. So there won't be any notes involved or any summary involved with this. And my apologies for that. So some things that you should know at this point that would have been covered in this course. And if you have not gotten this information, then I will start you at that point. I'm taking every person at where their level of where they are in the book. I always ask you to give me input on what it is that you want to learn, and I'll add that to your curriculum. But I'm still sticking with the main curriculum that's in order of the book, Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Business Owners. Okay. So, firstly, some topics that you're going to be taught or have been taught is preparation and filing of your articles. Most of you already done that. Your annual state reporting. We've got people in various states. Some states they don't require annual reporting, but they still want you to submit your business privilege tax, um, and that's an annual report. And so, also establishing your general ledger system. And I talked to you about the easiest way to use that program, annual business budgeting that they have in Google Sheets. But you can also use, because with that you can, it's set up so that you can. I think the max is probably several billions of dollars that you can funnel through there, and it's set up to calculate for you. It's got the columns and all the calculations that are necessary for that. So that's a good program for you to grow with. Of course, you'll get to a certain point and you'll bottleneck and you'll have to use a different system. Probably have to create your own software, but just to get you up to that point, you could use that system. It's called annual business budgeting, and you can find it in Google Sheets and also in your financial statements. And just remember, when you're doing your profit and loss statements, those are great, but they're not your financial statements. You want to have your income. We've already talked about the four major components of your financial statement, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But I want to make sure that you have the necessary information to be able to have the right kind of software to support your growth, so you don't get to a point you can't go any further. And when you want to look at the financial statements and the breakdown of all of the key components, I want you to go to chapter 12, because chapter 12 tells you exactly how to prepare your financial statements. And a lot of people think that the financial statements and the profit and loss statement are one and the same, but they're not. And I want to make sure that you understand all of the key components and how to prepare that financial statement. And so we actually, if you want me to spend more time on that, because I have to keep going back over the same information because we get new students. So if you're new to the course and you've not been involved with all of the teachings of how we break down that financial statement, I will go back through and walk you through the preparation of your financial statements. Now, we can use your profit and loss statement to complete the financial statements, but it's great to have a general ledger, which I'm sure if you've got your profit and loss thing, you've got a general ledger, we can use that information to then merge it to create your financial statements. But anyway, that's something that you learn here. Client engagement through affiliate memberships. If you're not already a member of affiliate memberships throughout your city, you want to do that. Things like the Board of Realtors, things like the Chamber of Commerce, things like the small business development centers that they have available in various states. You want to become a registered vendor with the state. Why are we doing that? Because we're going to set up an electronic and digital blueprint for you, footprint for you, so that when you go, if you ever need to finance a big project, real estate project or what have you, you can do it through your company because you would have set up a digital footprint. Everything that we do chapter by chapter in this curriculum, in this book, is setting up a digital footprint for you, so that when you go to apply for certain funding through some of the venture capitalists that we give you. And if you guys, we always make sure that everybody has a list of venture capitalists. We give you that in the beginning of the course. So if you don't have that, reach out to me so I can get you a list of venture capitalists as well as your non-qualifying mortgage lenders. Because we give you that list, and it's also in the back of this book. Now, this book doesn't have the venture capitalists listed in it, but it does have the 15 non-qualifying mortgage lenders. Those are mortgage lenders that are not high risk, but they do have underwriting guidelines that are conducive for business owners. You can find that in this book. Home ownership pre-planning, and much, much more. This is purchasing power for business owners. Okay. So you also learn, of course, how to manage your 1099 forms and your contract labor, but then you also learn how to manage your employees, and you get suggestions on like how to hire the interns. And a lot of you are already doing this. We get information on how to set up your holding company, your trust company, how to set up those accounts, because you need business accounts for them, your escrow accounts for those. We show you all of that comes with this course. That's what you learn in part 1. In part 2, that's going to be more of the operational aspects of your corporation. It's going to cover topics like day-to-day management and administrative tasks. Yeah, things like key administrative functions, efficient management strategies, Again, hiring employees, contract labor. We're going to continue to talk about that because those things change, they modify, and you need to always be up to date on what it is that you're doing and being compliant. We talk about scaling your corporation. We come up with strategic plans that are set up so that no matter what happens with the development of your company, even if you have a plummet, it shows you how to scale and how to execute your strategic plans to still scale your company. So no matter what happens, you already have a plan involved or set up initially, so that when it happens, if and when it happens, you know how to pivot without a whole lot of changes because it's already been set up. You've already had that model established, and you can just move into it. And you'll have a SOP already set for different changes in your company and how your company can continue to develop even through those changes. We teach about streamlining processes for efficiency and productivity. Now, how do I know these things? I know these things because we've lived these things. We've lived these things through a variation of our companies. And I think the blessing of mostly is that we started these companies when we were young and we still have them and they're still operating for us. And so many people have come through these companies. We've helped them establish their companies. They're now part of our network. And we've just been blessed. We've been blessed through the limited franchise units. We've been blessed in so many ways. But I know that sometimes the company operation can plummet because the entire market can change. Laws, we've had federal laws change on us, which affected the entire economy. And we couldn't go out of business, so we had to figure out how to restructure. So when we set up that restructuring into our standard of practice, then we knew when this kind of thing happens, then this is what we do. Yeah. So that we can continue to keep going. All right, so we teach you about best practices for organizational growth and sustenance. And then when we get to part 3, we're really into business credit. That's what we're going to do when we get to part 3. That's what we're doing from that point on, because you would have done everything that we told you to set up everything for your best practices so that you've got that digital footprint. Now, when the systems are going in to investigate your company's first viability and your existence and your validity, then they're going to be willing to extend a certain amount of credit to get you started. And we're talking about with big ticket items such as construction loans to either build properties or to renovate properties. See, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about in that area. Yeah. That's what part 3 is all about. Yeah. Establishing and building business credit. But when we talk about it, we're talking about it on a large scale. Leveraging your business credit and your financial growth, leveraging your resources, your money or your credit. You can do it both ways. Understanding the different types of options that are available to you in terms of credit. You've got some people that will factor their invoices or finance their invoices. All of that's available. Yeah, you've got some bridge loans that are available in terms of construction loans, or you've got some loans that are available through non-qualifying mortgage lenders that will help you purchase property. Yes, they'll even loan you the money to make the repairs to the property, depending on the position that you're in and your financial viability. We show you how to look good on paper and be good in your operations on the scale that you need to be on. We scale it based on your operations, not somebody else's. Yeah. And then lastly, we show you how to implement strategies for effective credit management after you've gotten the credit. And as a bonus, there's a bonus book that goes with this book, and it's called Management Services. We teach you that as well, but that comes after all of these courses. So anyway, you should find yourself somewhere along that course of studies in terms of the syllabus for this particular Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Business Owners. Yeah, ECCC. You should find yourself somewhere in that syllabus. And if you're not seeing that you've learned some of these things already, then we need to get you positioned. Something has happened. And we need to get you positioned to make sure that we're covering all of that for you so that you are prepared to reach your goal. Everybody comes here with a different goal in mind. And I want to make sure that we get you to the point that you're reaching your goal. Okay? Some of you come with the idea in mind that you want to make sure that you have yourself set up financially with an accountant or CPA so that you can make sure that those things are taken care of for you. And we just teach you the fundamentals of not just your profit and loss, which is excellent, but also your financial statements so that you can prepare them. And you, of course, everybody, I know you know about filing your taxes, but sometimes you get so busy and you don't get a chance to set that up in your standard of practice so that your employees can do it for you. So we show you how to do that so your employees can actually reach out and make sure that things have been filed according to the way that they should. Because I run into so many situations where things don't get filed like they're supposed to, or you're thinking they're getting filed, or you're trusting your tax people to file this stuff for you and for your best interest. And some of them don't know how to prepare taxes for growth. They don't know how to prepare taxes on a large scale. Yeah, so they're preparing. We had a guy, say this and then I'm going to close out. We had a guy years ago who was preparing our taxes. God rest his soul. May he rest in peace now. But he was preparing our taxes, but he was doing it in such a way that he wasn't showing us as employees of the corporation. Yeah, yeah. It was a hot mess because we needed him to show us as employees of the corporation. But he was showing it like we were self-employed. What was it? Independent contract. What was it? Whatever it was, it was like we weren't doing our withholdings. The whole thing was crazy. So we owed all of this money as individuals. And it wasn't even like, I don't think he filed on the corporate documentation, to tell you the truth. I don't think he filed our taxes on the corporate documentation. But anyway, when I went through it and I met with the IRS and I got all that done, I was like, never happened to me again. I would be doing my own financial statements and giving them to the CPA and let them do an audit financial statement. I'll be doing my own taxes, even if I don't actually submit them, even if I have the accountant to submit them. I know what they've submitted. I want to review it before you turn it in because you may not have taken advantage of all of the credits. And that's another thing. As we close, municipal bonds. I want all of you to get involved with that if you're not already doing it. I know some of you are already doing it. I know all of our anybody that's a part of our franchise unit. If you're not doing it, you will be doing it. Because for all those who have been a part of our franchise units, they've been doing it for years. So if you're new, if you just got started, you may not be doing it because we're still working on setting you up. You're still in your first 6 to 7 months. But you want to participate in state municipal bonds because it's going to make you exempt for certain taxes by investing in certain state municipal bonds. And of course, I've already done the video on that and I've already sent it to you. So if you need to brush up on that, please do. All right, so I'm hoping that we've covered quite a few things that were going to be beneficial to you. And I'm going to say to you that anytime we're teaching something and you're not seeing what it is that you need to see in the curriculum that's being taught, you need to speak up and say to me, listen, can we also cover this, that, or the other? Can we cover that? Either it's mentioned in the book or it's not mentioned in the book. Because a lot of things that we teach, they're not in the book. And that's done intentionally. That's so that people who purchase the book, they are able to get the book, but they don't get the full benefit of what someone would get who takes the course. Easy corporate comprehensive curriculum for new business owners. You can pick up a copy on Amazon.com, and this one, homeownership pre-planning, and much, much more. This is purchase power for business owners. You want to get this one. It's going to be very beneficial to you in a variation of ways. When you get it, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So again, if I'm not covering the things that are going to help you, let me know so that we can get them involved in the curriculum. We can start integrating those things in the curriculum along with what's being taught in the book. All right, you guys have a good night. I apologize for not having the summary to go with this. The Zoom was not, it kept saying that I had run out of space. in terms of my own device, my computer. But I went in and I freed up a lot of space in my computer, but it was still saying the same thing. But it didn't dawn on me, just because it wasn't doing the recording didn't mean that I still couldn't have the benefit of the AI notes. That just hit me when I was talking to you all now. But I think this is going to be beneficial to you, even though we don't have the written transcripts. All right. You guys have a good evening. Thank you.